I know some of these people for a while, but to hear the things that come out of them just excites me and is so new. And yeah, such a joy to be here with everyone. So I have a few announcements to make. Not really. I do want to say I was really sorry about that throwing of the disc. My dad's a good Frisbee thrower, but I'm not. I need to take some lessons, so there won't be any more throwing like that. Cool. I'm speaking about justice today. After I sent that to Vanessa, I said, hey, I'm going to talk about, I want to see justice come on earth as is in heaven. I spent the next few days telling my wife, why did I choose justice? That's such a packed thing. That's so heavy. But I'm going to approach it a bit from a personal perspective. Well, actually, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about not to do, but I'm going to give you a personal kind of touch on it. So justice is something that's thrown around a lot in our world, in our time and age. Justice, justice, justice. You know, what is right? I'm going to tie justice even in with truth, because I believe truth is the foundation for how we move forward into justice. If we believe there's truth, then on that is founded what is just. And when I go around a lot, I get the opportunity to work with a lot of non-believers. A lot of them are creative people, and in Israel, I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of the creative people tend to live in Tel Aviv. It's kind of like a creative hub. This man's a creative man and reaches out to creative people. And in Tel Aviv, there's a more, I don't know if you guys have come to know this difference between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, but Jerusalem's like the holy city. All the high and holy and righteous religious people are up here in Jerusalem, while all the, we call them here in Jerusalem, we call them the Gentiles. He's claiming it. All the liberal kind of, we have our own system, live down Tel Aviv. Anyhow, all that to say, so a lot of the people I work with come from there. So during our lunch hours and throughout the long trips around Israel as we work in film productions, I get a chance to talk with a lot of them. We talk about family, life. Do we have only one spouse, or can we share our spouse and have, gay relationships, all these things. This is always coming up, and it's really challenging me and my personal perspective on truth and justice all the time. And it leads me to the question to say, where am I drawing my understanding of justice and truth? Am I drawing it from how I was raised at home? Am I drawing it from what I read online? Am I drawing it from, Facebook or social media? Where am I drawing it from? Am I drawing it from the Human Rights Act? Well, when I was younger, I used to. In 1948 in Paris, the UN General Assembly, they came together and they declared, and they thought it was an amazing benchmark. And on one side, it was an amazing benchmark to have a universal declaration of human rights. But over time, after I learned that at school, I thought, hey, this is great, And the world really founds its system of justice based on that. But over time, I started realizing, hey, but when I read the Bible, it doesn't align with human rights all the time. It doesn't align with what is common sense of what is right and wrong in today's worldview, in today's culture. And it made me push deeper to what is justice. And in this journey, I realized that in order to understand what is truly just, I have to go back to the Bible. I have to go back to the Bible. And I have to read the Bible. And this was a decision I made. I have to read the Bible, not from my point of view, not, hey, let's read it and let's see what I got out of this. That's not a bad way to do it. I just went back and said, hey, I'm not going to read this out of my lens. Oh, wow, this was a great chapter about blah, 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 blah. But how does that one half of a verse speak to me, because I could twist that in 1,000 ways? And that's kind of what the world tries to do in a lot of my conversations, but even when I hear debates and stuff, a lot of what people try to do is they try to scramble. It's too complicated. How on earth can you think you understand what it says? They create a scrambling, and this is the plan of the enemy. He creates a scrambling, and it's so scrambled that then how on earth are you going to be the one to say that you know what is just, what is true? And then everybody has their own way. Well, let me tell you, nobody can have their own way, and there isn't many truths, because if that was the case, then that means that I have my truth and Hamas has their own truth, and them wanting to kill me is true because that's their truth. And it can go on to many more examples. So there is ultimately one truth. So they try and scramble it, but if you go to the Word and you read it saying, I want to read God's biography. That's how I tend to look at the Bible. I want to read this biography of God. And I want to look at it from his point of view. So there's a story about a young girl. There was a time when there was two nations at war, and one nation was sending in units to kind of just terrorize the nation and the other nation. And they went in once, and they probably burned up a city and all that, and they kidnapped a young girl. And this young girl is taken back, and she has to serve in this enemy nation's home. Now, you guys might get the hint of what I'm about to talk to. It goes on where she tells the enemy nation about there's a prophet back home who can heal one of the high-up men, the army general, who was sick. And he goes on and he gets healed. You all know the story. Now, you read the story and you're like, wow, what an amazing story. An enemy comes and he gets healed, and you're thinking of all these dynamics. And I know when I read this story in the Bible, that's what I thought of. But then once I was reading it, or someone's giving a message about church, I thought, what about that young girl? Has anybody been looking at her justice story? She's kidnapped. Think of what happens when you get kidnapped. By the way, that's illegal in the Human Rights Act. But she's kidnapped. Have you ever looked at her personal perspective? Now, I got caught up on a journey where I could say I can look at the personal perspective of justice, or I can look at God's justice. And God has got the bigger picture. When you are looking at this justice, you want to try and see, like in the court cases, you want to see as much evidence. You want to try and grasp as much as you can to see it in the best angle so you can make the best judgment of justice. Well, God has been around before the earth was created, and he has so much and so many layers and so much more understanding than I have. So I decided, let's read and look at things through his point of view and start understanding what his point of justice is, and then go out and be that.